fail. And then 4, if you are giving bad service or not any service at all, you're going to fail. And the last one is not having enough money, which notice we put that one last, which we'll dive into that one a little bit. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about failure to attract clients. So Aaron, you want to hit us with the first fact?
Yeah, just so, with failing to attract enough clients, obviously we're in a business where you have to continue to, to market, to talk to people, in order to create a sustainable business. Even in a hot market like we have today, where it seems like the marketing system is put it into the MLS and hit enter, we have to believe the market's not always going to be like that. And so, we really have to have a plan or a way to make sure we're generating enough leads in order to keep our pipeline full. So there's actually a survey that was done with the top 1,000 agents in the nation, and they average 33 sides a year with a average GCI per year of 372,000. So, if you're planning on making 6 figures a year, or even, you have dreams of making 7 figures a year, you better have a well thought out plan, and you better have a system to make sure that you're getting enough leads. So just to kind of go through what were the top sources that these top agents are actually generating their business from. We'll start with number 1, and that's their database. A couple weeks back, we actually talked about CRMs and the importance of a CRM. That way you can consistently and effectively market to your past clients, your sphere, people whether that's people on your kids' sports team, school, your friends' parents, whatever it might be. You got to have a database and a CRM to effectively market to those people. Matt, do you want to take number 2?
Yeah, absolutely. So another one is open houses. I've waned back and forth on open houses. The bottom line is, if you've got a nice house that people are gonna want to look at, it's super smart to do an open house. I have yet to sell a house from an open house, but I get a ton of leads from doing open houses. So if the seller is willing to do an open house, you ought to do an open house and get yourself some leads. Another one is online lead generation, which is how we built a lot of our business, is online lead generation. We don't just do online lead generation, but we hit it pretty hard, and it's helped us grow our businesses pretty successfully. So the other one's going to be geo farms. Aaron, you want to hit us on that? Kind of explain what that is?
Yeah, just with the geographic farming, I think a lot of people, I think print advertising has got less and less. I think especially with the amount of social media marketing that can happen, and with also the other online lead generation systems. But geographic farming or print advertising, especially to a certain neighborhood, or whether it could be also demographic farming. That could also be maybe you want to hit a certain price point of a house. Both those ways are great ways to supplement your online marketing and to really throw a 1-2 punch combo. So the other one would be door knocking. So you could do this when you add in social media marketing, you add in your geographic farming, whether that's a magazine, a postcard, a just listed, a just sold, whatever it might be. And then now you're doing door knocking on top of that. I know it's not the sexiest thing in the world. No one wants to exactly walk around and knock on door to door and feel like a pushy salesman. But these are top producers that we're talking about. 33 sides a year, 372,000 GCI. I think we'd all like to be there on an average year and consistently. So, if you're going out there and you're knocking on doors and you're letting people see your face and you're becoming a recognizable name in your community, in addition to, like we talked about, the online and the print advertising, I mean, there's just no better way.
Absolutely. And then we also have for sale by owners and non-owner occupied are another ways that they are building their business. So let's talk a little bit more about a failure to attract clients. It's interesting to me. A lot of times what I see happening is people say, hey, I'm going to go get my real estate license. I'm going to get into real estate. And they think that all of their friends and family are just going to flock to them and use them as their realtor. And the reality is there's dozens of real estate agents out there. In fact, in this market alone, there's somewhere around 7,000 to 8,000 real estate agents in the Indianapolis metropolitan area. So the chances of them knowing multiple agents are extremely high. And the fact that they generally are going to be trusting you with the biggest purchase of their life usually they're going to trust somebody that's been in the business a little bit longer. So you have to build up your reputation and you have to build up trust with people before they're going to automatically use you a lot of times. Now, that doesn't mean you don't try to get their business. It just means that you have to have more than one way to generate leads. And I think that's where a lot of people fail is they plan on one way of generating leads, or they get really good at one method of generating leads. And then when that one method leaves, their business is just set there struggling, and they still got all the same expenses, but they don't have that revenue coming in. We saw that during the recession. So you've got to get good at multiple ways of building your business through multiple lead sources and staying in contact with people, etc. I think it's a good time to kind of announce our sponsor. Our sponsor is Indianapolis Homes Realty and Greenwood Homes Realty. We generate tons of leads for you guys automatically if you're a real estate agent. So if you're somewhere where you're not generating enough leads, don't let yourself be a mediocre broker. Come to a company that's going to give you lots of leads, more leads than you can handle, and help you obviously attract enough real estate agents. Aaron, you want to hit them with the next one?
Yeah, and real quick before I do that, I just want to jump in on, you were talking with agents only focusing on one area of expertise. I see a lot of agents, or hear a lot of agents, they're all about prospecting, make sure they're hitting their FSBOs and expireds, just listed, just solds. I hear a lot, the other camp of agents would be people who just worry about word of mouth or referral. And then you have a smaller percentage still who just focuses on just marketing. So I think by, combining those three methods is really how you can have a bulletproof strategy and be in that 13% if you're a newer agent, or just how to stay in that top 1% of all agents as far as what you're producing. I think of, why are people failing, is, if you take the example of, think of like a conveyor belt at a factory, it pumps out, product after product after product. That's how it should typically be. And if you're one of those workers, say standing at the conveyor belt, picking up an item, and putting it where it should be. In this case, we're going to call these packages buyer and seller leads. My question would be, as an agent, is your conveyor belt producing anything? Are there any packages coming out? Are there any buyer or seller leads coming out? If no, then, I think if you can say, no, I don't have enough leads, there's a couple things I think you need to be doing. And that'd be, number one, you need to analyze, look at your past 2 years and say, okay, where have my transactions come from? If you've had 18 transactions in the past 2 years and you're not satisfied with that, or 24 transactions or 30, or whatever your number might be, you know what that is, I don't. Analyze that and say, okay, well, I had maybe 12 from my past clients and spheres, and I had 6 from an open house. How can I, and then ask yourself, how can I increase where I've gotten this transaction activity from? Do I need to be talking to, instead of 3 people a day of my past clients, family, and sphere, do I need to be talking to 6? Have a systematic approach of how can I increase those numbers based on my past history. Is that something that you've kind of seen yourself, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a matter of creating a well-rounded business, and then once you find something that works, double down on it. That's the most basic business move you can do. If you find something that works, don't just give up on it and try something new. Double down on it, and then keep trying new things as well. I find it really interesting. Like, somebody might be really good at calling for sale by owners and converting them and getting business from for sale by owners, and then this new shiny thing comes out on the market, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm gonna use this, and I'm gonna make a lot more money," and they kind of just throw the for sale by owners to the wayside. You can't do that. If anything, you got to continue to do exactly what you were doing before. Plus, you got to try that new thing. You got to constantly be working towards, improving your business, and not just giving up on the things that are already working.
I love how you said, improving your business. And that's kind of my next point I was going to make. I know I just touched on a little bit, but really operationalizing, your best sources. So if your best source is, say, for instance, like we just talked about, your database, your past clients and referrals, how can you automate those systems, or, how can you delegate some of those responsibilities to make sure that you can do what, agents are supposed to be best at, which is, talking to people on the phone or through text or whatever it might be, and going on appointments. Because those are the two revenue generating activities to make sure you're making the most money that you can in the quickest amount of time.
Which, I can't let you say that without me saying Indianapolis Homes Realty and Greenwood Homes Realty, we automate a lot of those processes for you already. So once again, if you're at a brokerage where they're not doing those things for you, you need to reconsider. Don't get bogged down in those day-to-day tasks that someone else can be doing for you, like all the pin to close work, taking care of making sure that the title company is doing what they're supposed to do in the lender. Those are things that we do for you guys already. So it's something that you have to really think about. If you are a great salesperson, you need to be out selling, and instead of getting bogged down in the day-to-day minutia, $10 an hour jobs. So same thing with listings, entering in listings and doing all the marketing on your listings. We do all those things for you. So don't get bogged down in that. Go convert more leads. If your leads, which it's kind of the next thing to talk about anyways, is conversion. If you are being so caught up in the day-to-day operations that you're not able to go out and convert more and more and more leads, something's wrong with your business model. It's not working.
Yeah, I think there's one more point I wanted to talk about as far as why agents are failing, or something that could more so help you to succeed more. And that's I'm a big believer in visually seeing your successes. So, visually tracking, whether that's in a Google Drive, whether that's an actual poster on your wall, whatever it might be. Label out what are your goals for the year. And then based on each source. So if you want to do 24 deals for the year and you want half of those to come from referrals, as you get a referral each time, a closed deal from a referral, put a check mark or an X or a number, however you want to do it, whatever's going to be best for you. But I believe that's a big stimulus on helping you to succeed further and further if you've already seen how far you've come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you want to talk more about, poor service, or do you want to talk about poor conversion more?
I believe poor conversion is probably a little bit more fitting topic. We're talking about generating these leads. Obviously, we've talked about we provide those as a company. These leads do absolutely no good. I'm sure you guys have heard it before, but the fortune's in the follow-up. I see people spend money on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, Conversion, Boomtown. I mean, you name it, whatever it might be. They're spending massive amounts of dollars and they're not connecting with them. It shows within the first 5 minutes, you have to be connecting. And I see people even longer than that they'll go a couple of weeks before they've even thought about touching a lead. By the time you've talked, wait a couple of weeks, they've already talked to 6 different agents, possibly even already put an offer in on a deal with the way the market is right now. You now wasted how many dollars and how many opportunities have you wasted by doing that?
If you guys want a gut check, go to your database right now if you have one. Call all the people that have come in through your database that you haven't called in a really long time. And I promise you, at least 2 to 5 of the 100 people that are in your database have already bought or sold a home through someone else if you generated those leads. It happens all the times. And it's just so frustrating to me when I see that happening. I'll send a drip email or a drip text that automatically gets sent out for us. And it'll say, hey, I'm sorry, I just closed on my house yesterday. So get in your database. Yeah, it's so frustrating. It's frustrating for us as business owners. It's frustrating for you guys as agents. And it comes down to not being lazy and going through the follow-up. And if it's a situation where you don't have time to follow up, once again, hire somebody to do that. Think through, what are you doing right now that's preventing you from following up with these people that you could hire out? Or again, come to our company and we'll do those things for you. So you have to think through those things and not be a mediocre broker and let these leads that you're paying money for just sit there. It's a shame.
Yeah, I think we'll kind of start wrapping it up, but the biggest mistake I think that I'm seeing agents make today is that I touched on it earlier, is that the marketing system for most agents to be successful today is put it in the MLS and hit enter. It's not going to work forever, guys. I mean, it would be foolish to think that the market's going to stay the way that it is. It's not a question of if, it's really just a question of when. So by making sure that you're being prepared and, you're make sure you have an effective database, you're doing open houses, you're making the prospecting calls, you have an effective marketing campaign, you're doing geographic farming. By having a well thought out business plan and not just a hope and pray method, that someone's going to send you a referral, you can make sure that, through the bad times and through the good times, when the market crashes and when the market's hot, that you can be a sustainable agent.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the last two is poor or no service. So we'll touch on that real quick. I know we got to wrap up here. So when it comes to poor or no service, the first thing that comes to my mind is how you're handling your leads and how you're handling your clients. If you're handling your clients as a salesperson, that's a pushy salesperson, you're not giving good service, and maybe that's why your poor conversion is there. I don't know. But if you're not handling your clients and educating them through the process and being diligent and following up with them and getting them what they're asking for when they're asking for it, then you're going to fail in real estate. And that's just the bottom line. If you do what you say you're going to do and you follow through with people and you help educate them, you'll succeed in real estate. This is not a high pressure sales job. This is not a cutthroat sales job. It's not a situation where you have to force someone into buying a house. This is all about educating people, helping them understand what they're getting into as far as a purchase or a sale of their home, and then making sure that you take care of your client through that process. So don't be a mediocre broker. Don't be a pushy salesperson. Help them understand the process, help educate them and guide them through the process and make it as smooth as possible for them. Do you want to hit the last one about running out of money?
Yeah, I think a lot of agents, we notoriously have the rep for living paycheck to paycheck, and maybe the little bit of extra they have, they throw it towards their marketing or towards some sort of online lead generation system. And by not effectively managing your money through your transactions and making sure you're keeping some back in some kind of operating account or something like that for yourself as an individual agent, to make sure that you can continue to pump your pipeline full of leads in order to create some kind of deal to create more money in your transactions, so that account can continue to grow to market more and more and more. I see agents just maybe throw $50 here, $50 there, and that just doesn't create a solid pipeline of deals. And obviously at Indianapolis Homes Realty and Greenwood Homes Realty, leads are something we provide. We want to make sure that our agents are taken care of, and that their pipeline is always full.
Absolutely. I want to reiterate this too. I've said this before. Real estate is one of the few businesses that you can get into with very little money. You don't have to go to 4 years of college and pay off, $50,000 in student loans and all of those things. You can get into real estate in a long weekend. You can do an online course in a long weekend and go take your state test and be a realtor within a week or two. So this is not there's not a high barrier to entry. On top of that, with the way that we market leads and we bring in leads, it doesn't cost you anything really to get a lead nowadays. So the internet is so powerful, and you can get so many leads with $100. It's unbelievable. So when I got into real estate, I had maybe $1,000 in my bank account set aside to grow my business, which is laughable because most businesses aren't even profitable for 2 years when they start. I was profitable within the first 30 days of business. So you have to think through this. This is not a high barrier to entry. Anybody can be successful if they put forth the effort. And the number one reason that agents fail isn't because they run out of money. It's because they lack the skill to follow up. They lack the desire to follow up. So that's why we put this last. Running out of money is usually one of the last reasons that somebody fails. But at the same time, as Aaron brought up, if you're not budgeting and you're not at least devoting 10 to 50% of the money that you bring in back out to marketing, then you probably are going to fail, because you're never going to have leads. You might have leads for the very first amount of money you push out there, but if you don't build upon that and continue to plan for it, you're going to fail. So real estate's easy to get into. It's very low cost of entry. You just have to be diligent about planning to make sure that you have enough capital to consistently market and then be consistent with your follow-up, give good service, and you can win in real estate.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in today. Just talking about, not being one of those 87% that are going to fail within those first couple of years, or maybe even longer than that. We really want you to be one of those top 13% and make sure that you continue to thrive and be an excellent agent and not a mediocre broker. Do us a favor and like us, love us, share our page, like our page. We're here every other Wednesday at 1:15, and we look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks.